Yes, sir.
It's time now. Yeah, okay. So one of the things that I brushed aside was that the proof of product of two determinants is a determinant. Determinants. No, if you take, say, A and B, then the value of the determinant of the product is equal to determinant A into determinant B. So this is something that I brushed aside, but it can be shown. I thought I'll show it, just sketch the proof for you. So let us assume that, first of all, for a determinant to be defined, it has to be a square array, isn't it? Only square arrays are defined as determinants. Square arrays. So let us take two square arrays A, which are given by A11, A12, A21, A22, A2n, then A1, A2. And similarly, B is equal to B11, B12, B1n, B21, B22, Bn1, Bn2, Bnn. Then if C is equal to AB, then equal to C11, C12, C1n, C21, C22, C2n, etc., Cn1, Cnn, where Cij is equal to sigma over k equal to 1 to n, aik, bkj, just as the rules for multiplying the matrices. Okay. So now, in order to show that determinant C is equal to determinant A times determinant B, we will do the following. Idea is to show determinant C equal to determinant A into determinant B. In order to show that, let us construct the following 2n by 2n determinant. Let's construct 2n by 2n determinant. So determinant that I'm going to call, let me call it D. So this will be of this form: A11, A12, A1n, A21, A22, A2n, etc. AN1, AN2, n, and here it will all be zeros up to 2n, 0 up to 2n, 0 up to 2n, and then I'll have a -1, 0, 0, and then I'll write B11, B12, B1n, 0, -1, 0, B21, B22, and continue like this: 0, 0, -1. So, and then I have Bn1, etc., Bnn. So the structure of this determinant, if you see, is nothing but this way. Okay, so you have A, 0, minus I, B, all B and I are n by n. Okay, so that's the determinant that I have. Now, in order to evaluate this determinant, what I'm going to do is make the upper A 0. Okay, so I want to, we shall use row manipulations to make the left hand upper corner 0. So in order to do that, the way you can do it is the following. As I take the you see, what I'll have to do is I have to take A11, I have to multiply the row n plus 1 by A11 and add it to row 1. So if I do that, I'll get the following. So I'll get 0, okay, A12, A1n, and then I'll have A11, B11 will be first element, A11, B12 will be the second element, and A11, B1n will be third element, and these will remain as such. A21, or rather A22, A2n, 0, 0, AN1, A0, 0, then minus 1, 0, B1, 1, B1, 2, B1, 0, minus 1, 0, B2, 1, B2, 2, B2n, and then all the way down to 0, 0, 0, minus 1, Bn1, Bn2, Bnn. So next what I want to do is I want to put A12 to 0. So if I want to put A12 to 0, I have to multiply this row by A12 and add to the top row. So if I did that, I will get the following: 0, 0, A1n, and I have A11, B11. To this, I have to add A12, B21. And the next one is A11, B12. To this, I have to add A21, B22. Rather, A12, B2. And then rest of all are 0. Then I'll have, okay. Let me here. Then I'll have zeros. And then I'll have A21, A22, A2n. Then I'll have 0, 0, 0. Then I have AN1, AN2, AN, 0, 0, minus 1, 0, 0, 0, B11, B12, B1n. Then I'll have 0, minus 1, 0, B21, B22, B2n, and then I'll have 0, 0, 0, minus 1, Bn1, Bn2, Bnn. So this will be the new return. Okay. Now let us see if I want to put A13 to 0 and so forth. So if I were to put all those things to 0, so now next put A13 to 0. So on and so forth up to A1n. Then what you will get is the following. The top row will be 0, 0 up to n, because, and then the second row, let me also write down just for completion, A21 to A2n. And this one will contain A11 plus A12, B21 plus Bn1. That will be the first element. Then I'll have the second element is ith row, jth column, so it will be A11, B21, A12, B22, etc., plus A1n, B2n, Bn2 rather. And so on and so forth. Okay. And then I will again get AN1 to ANN. All these are zeros. Then I'll have -1, 0, 0, B11, B12, B1N, 0, -1, 0, B21, B2, B2N, and all the way down to 0, 0, -1, Bn1, Bn2, Bn. Okay, is it clear? Because I keep putting A11 to 0, A12 to 0, etc. up to A1N to 0. So the last is multiply the last row here by A1N and then add and so forth. So this is not plus. Okay. So what do I get? So the first row elements will be the first row elements will then be looking like this. 0, 0 up to n by n. And then I have sum over k, A1k, 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 K2, sum over k, k. Just 1 second, I lost something. There's something and I got into trouble. So I have to go to the shared thing. Start video. Share. Go into my application had stopped, I think. Share video will be. Sorry about that. Okay. PKN. So you see that, right? So what are these elements? The first elements will, so the first row will be this. And then if I continue like this, then what I will have is the following. I'll have A21, A22 to A2N, 0, 0, 0, 0, I mean A31, etc., A3N, AN1, etc., ANN. Then all these will be zeros. Then I have -1, 0, 0, 0. Then I'll have B11, B12, etc., B1N. 0, -1, 0, 0, B21, B22, etc., B2N. And continue like this. 0, 0, 0, -1, Bn1, Bn2, etc., Bnn. Right? Is it clear? You know, it is just a matter of doing the row operations. Is that clear?
Sir, we are trying to prove Kramer's rule.
I am trying to prove determinant A into determinant B is equal to determinant AB. Okay.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's what I said right in the beginning. Okay. So I want to prove that determinant Just 1 second. So I just wanted to prove that determinant AB is equal to determinant A into B. Okay, so let me, okay, did you see that? This is the one that I wanted to prove. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so for that I started with a different determinant D, which was A0 minus IP. Okay, and then I made all the row operations and so on and so forth, so that I got D to be equal to the following. Okay, so D turned out to be this, right?
Okay.
So if I continue doing this way and put A21, A22, A2n to 0 and so forth, if I keep continuing this way, then what I'll get is the following. Continuing this way, I get determinant D will be 0 determinant here, and then a determinant C here, then minus I here, and then a B here. Okay, and C has the elements. Cij is equal to sigma over K, Aik, Bkj. Okay, exactly as you will see in the first row. So in the first row, you are seeing that, right? C11 was sigma over K, A1K, Bk1. C12 was sigma over K, A1K, Bk2, etc. C1n was sigma over K, A1K, Bkn. So that is the product of the two matrices, A and B, or the product of the two determinants, A and B. Now expand the determinant by columns. Okay. Then what you will get is the following. Then you'll see that determinant D is equal to determinant minus I to minus 1 to the power into minus 1 to the power zeta, let me say, into determinant C. Okay, and eta is equal to 1 if n is even and equal to 0. Eta is equal to 0 if n is odd. The other way around. N is even. So that I will get determinant D equal to determinant C equal to determinant AB. Okay, so that's how I'll prove that determinant AB is equal to determinant A to B. Okay, any questions? Okay, because if you were to expand this determinant, okay, what I have written here, right? This determinant is nothing but determinant A into determinant B. Okay, if you were to expand it directly, but if you expand it using the row operations, then what you will get is determinant C, which is actually equal to determinant A into determinant. Okay, any questions? You can look it up. The proof is
No, sir. No question.
no question. So the determinant is in the proof is in Kreyszig, this in book by Kreyszig. So you can actually look it up. Okay. So there are actually two ways of expanding it. One, if you expand it like you know without making the row or column manipulations, that is without doing the row manipulations, then what we will get is determinant A into determinant B. If you expand it after making the row manipulations, you will get it as equal to determinant C, which is determinant AB. Okay, so that's how you will prove it. Okay, now having done that, let me go back to the determinants. So I said the determinant A, if I am given, equal to A11, A1n, A21, A to N, etc. AN1, ANN. Then I know that the coefficients, the cofactor of Aij is equal to Cij is equal to minus power I plus A, Aij, where Aij is n minus 1 by n minus 1 determinant obtained by eliminating ith row and jth column. Okay, so how do you evaluate the determinant? So determinant A is then equal to sigma over K, Aik, Cik, okay, where we are expanding by the ith row, right? And determinant A is also equal to sigma over K, Cki, where we are expanding by ith column. Okay, so this is something that you had you had learned before. Am I right?
Yes.
You can expand a determinant by any row or any column. Okay, all you need to do is multiply the element by the cofactor and sum it over the cofactors of a given row or a given column. Okay, you can expand it by either of them. So now I want to prove something else, the following theorem. Okay, so that is, I want to prove sigma over K, Aik, CKL is equal to sigma over K, AKI, CLK equal to determinant A times delta IL. Okay, how do I prove it? I'll prove it by a very simple example. Okay, how do I do it? So let me consider the following. You consider the following determinant.
So what is L? L is the
L is any index.
and index. Oh,
So I and L are indices. Okay, and they are Ik is ikth element of the matrix A, and KL is the KLth cofactor of the element AKL.
okay. Sir, and delta IL?
Delta IL is the Kronecker delta.
Okay. Okay, sir.
You have Kronecker delta, right?
Yes, I have explained.
You know Kronecker delta.
Yes, sir. If I is equal to L,
When I
it
is
will
equal
be
to L,
1.
it is 1. When I is not equal to L,
No,
it is 0.
it will be 0. Yes.
Okay. So let me consider the following. A11, A12, A1N, and let me also take the this thing determinant A21, A22, A2N, AN1, AN2, ANN. Okay. So let me replace what are the cofactors of A1? A11, the cofactor is C11. Okay, cofactor of A12 is C12. So A11 cofactor, if you want to look at it, then this is a cofactor. Okay, so the cofactor is determinant A22 to A2n, AN2 to ANN. Right? Okay, so similarly, cofactor of A12 is A21, A23, A2n, AN1, AN3 to ANN. Okay, so now consider the following determinant. Okay, let us consider the following determinant. So when I want to expand it, this determinant A. Okay, so when I want to expand it, I will say that determinant A is equal to C1, A11 C1 plus A12 C12 plus etc. plus A1n C1n when I am expanding by the first row. Now let me replace the first row by the following. Take determinant A prime, in which I have replaced row by the second row. Okay, so I have A21, A22, A2n, then A21, A22, A2n, etc. AN1, AN. So what I have done is I have removed the first row, which was A11, A12, A1n, and rewritten the second row in the same place. So what is the value of determinant A prime? What is this determinant?
0.
Why?
2 rows are equal.
The first and second rows are equal, so that's why it is 0. Now let me expand the same determinant by the first row. So when I expand the determinant by the first row, what do I get? Determinant A prime equal to A21 into A prime 21 plus 2 plus etc. Rather C prime. Okay, sorry. Let me use the same symbols. A21, A22, and then A2. Okay, right. So when I expand it by the first row is A21, A22, etc., and the coefficients are okay. Let me not jump the step. Okay, and what is C prime 21? C prime 21. Oh, I don't know what happened. Gee. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello. I don't know it. Oh, my Wacom died. Okay, let me write it on the laptop itself. Are you seeing the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay, now I am doing it on a different this thing. I got into some problem there. So what is C2 prime 1? C2 prime 1, I can write it in the following way. This is equal to, look at the this thing, determinant. Okay, so let me pull it down. Okay, so what I have is, if you okay, what is C2 prime 1? That is A22 to A to N, and then AN2 to ANN, right?
Yes, sir.
Because this, okay, because the C2 prime 1 is this part, right? So C2 prime 1 is actually
C11.
A21, rather A22 N, and then A32, etc., A3N, etc., etc. A3, AN2, AN. Right? So this is C1. This is actually C21. It's C21 itself, right?
C11.
So rather, it is C11. Oh. I'm having all kinds of ups here. So this is equal to C11, right? Because this is a cofactor of A11, so that is C11. Okay. So what we have is determinant A prime equal to A21 C11 plus A22 C21 plus etc. plus AN2 CN1, right? Or I can write sigma over K A2K CK1. Okay, and this is equal to 0.
Sir, A2N. How, sir, AN2?
A2N it is. Okay, so I'm summing out the second index. Okay, so this is equal to 0, and here I have I equal to 2, L is equal to 1. Okay, so that has to be 0. So whenever you have a case where the two, whenever I have this particular case like sigma over K, okay, AIK CKL, then it implies that ith row and lth row are identical. Okay, so it has to be 0. Okay, so that's the reason why you will always get this relationship that sigma over K AIK CKL is delta IL times determinant D. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I can proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is one proof that I have, that is sigma over K AIK CKL is equal to sigma over K AKI CLK is equal to determinant A times delta IL. Okay, so that's one theorem that I wanted to prove, which becomes important later on. Okay, now let us look at go back to the homogeneous system of equations, or rather the linear algebraic equation. So when you go to linear algebraic equations, I said that we can have two cases. One, number of equations equal to number of unknowns. And this thing two is number of equations not equal to number of unknowns. Okay. So these are the two cases. Let me consider the case one, where number of equations equal to number of unknowns. Okay, that's one. And then second one is, so you can always write a linear set of equations in the following fashion. Sigma over j aij xj equal to bi. Okay, and I can say that j is equal to 1 to n, I equal to 1 to m. Okay, which means 1 x1 plus a12 x2 plus etc. plus a1n xn equal to b1, a21 x1 plus a22 x2 plus etc. plus a2n xn equal to b2, and so on until m equations, which is am1 x1 plus am2 plus etc. plus amn xn is equal to bm. Okay, so these are n unknowns and m equations. Okay, and this is called, this is inhomogeneous if vector b is not identically equal to 0. Okay, so this I can actually, the above equation I can write it as ax equal to b. X is an n-dimensional vector. It has n component, right? And this thing b is a m-dimensional vector. Because the number of components of b is equal to number of equations, and number of unknowns is the number of components of x. So this ax equal to b. So what I have is m rows, n columns, multiplying to n rows column, m rows one column. Okay, so that is the ax equal to b system that I have. So if b is identically not equal to 0, then it's called inhomogeneous, and if b is a null vector, then the system is a homogeneous system. Now, given this, we'll first concentrate on, we will first consider a inhomogeneous system of n equations in n unknowns. Number of equations is equal to number of unknowns. Okay, so now what I will do is the following. That is, I have the system is this one, a11 x1 plus a12 x2 plus a1n xn is equal to b1, a21 x1 plus a22 x2 plus etc. plus a2n xn is equal to b2, and so on and so forth. So I have an1 x1 plus an 2x2 plus ann xn is equal to bn. So this is a system that I have. What I'll do is I will multiply the first system, multiply the second equation by A21 by C21 rather, by C21 and add to first equation. So what I get, I have just a minute. I'll do the first step is the following, not multiply the second equation, multiply the first equation by C11, okay, and there's no need to add anything. So what I'll get is the following.
Sir, what is C11 here?
Sometime today it will wipe it. C11 is the cofactor of the determinant A.
Okay, sir.
So let me write this down, which is the cofactor of determinant A. That's what I get. I'll get A11 C11 X1 plus A12 C12 C11 X2 plus A1n C11 xn equal to C11 B1. That's the first equation that I'll get. I'll only concentrate on first equation. Okay. Now what I'll do is I will take the second equation, okay, multiply it by multiply second equation by C21 and add to first equation. You can do that, right? Nothing changes. So I'll get A11 C11 plus C21 times X1 plus A12 A12 C11 plus A22 C21 times X2 plus etc. plus A1n C11 plus A2n C21 times xn is equal to. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I have got it right? A2n, then C21. Okay, so like that I continue doing it. Continue doing this until the last equation.
Sir, it is equal to B1 or B1 C11 plus B2 C21.
Correct. Thanks. Okay, so I ignored the last one. Okay, so that was a mistake. I would have been in trouble. Okay, so if I continue doing this, then it will become like this: A11 P11 plus A21, C21 plus AN1, CNX1, correct? Plus A12, C11 plus A22, C21 plus etc. plus AN2, CN1, X2 plus 1. The last term will be A1N, C11 plus A2N, C21 plus etc. plus NN, N1. Xn, this is equal to B1 C11 plus B2 C21 plus etc. plus Bn Cn1. Do you see this question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all I have done is, okay, multiply each of the subsequent equations by C21, C31, etc. to Cn1, and then add them all up to the equation 1, which was earlier multiplied by C11. Now, we will invoke the theorem sigma over k. Okay, I will use the thing. So AK1 J is equal to B times delta 1J. Correct?
Sir, how did this come?
You remember the theorem that I had proved? So you remember these equations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from this I get what I've written there. Okay. So what will happen? This should go to 0, right? Because this one is actually Cn1 times An2. Okay, so this will be this one will correspond to the following, right? Sigma over k, okay, AK2 CK1, k equal to 1 to n, right? So this will go to 0, and similarly all these other things will go to 0. Okay, so what it implies is the following. So using this, we have determinant A times x1. I can take x1 as common factor. That's equal to B1 C11 plus B2 C21 plus etc. Bn Cn1. Okay, and what does the right hand side say? This says, this I can write it as the following, right? I can write it as B1 B2 Bn, and I have A1 A11 A12, sorry. B21, A22, A23, A2n, etc. AN2, AN3, etc. AN. This is equal to the right hand side. Because you see the following. That is, I am taking B1 and then multiplying that by the cofactor of A11. And then I am taking B2 and multiplying that by the cofactor of A21. Okay, and so on. And I'll take Bn and multiply by the cofactor of this thing AN1. Right? So that's the reason why this is the determinant. And this determinant is usually called D1, where, or let me call it A. Where A1 is obtained by replacing the ith column in A by the column vector B. Okay, so this is what I get. Is this clear? So that I have x1 is equal to determinant A1 and A equal to determinant A2 divided by determinant A, and so on and so forth. Xn is equal to determinant An divided by determinant A. So okay, any questions? Now
No, sir.
let me let me go ahead and do a little bit more. So what I will do is the following. That is, I will write down in the following fashion. I have AX is equal to B was what I had. Okay. Now I define A inverse as equal to 1 upon determinant of A Cji, that is transpose of the cofactor matrix. Is equal to 1 upon determinant A times C transpose. Okay. Now if I define it this way, then let me see what happens. So I multiply A inverse into A times X is equal to A inverse into B. Okay. So let us say, what is A inverse into A?
I.
A inverse A 0 1
I.
upon A into, okay. Yeah, it is I, but I want to show you. One upon determinant A into C11 and then C2 because it's transpose Cn1 and then C12 to C1n, C22 to C2n, etc. Cn2 to Cnn times 1 A12, A1, A22, A2n, and I have AN1, AN2, ANN. Okay, and will give the response is so slow. So this is equal to 1 upon determinant A the sigma over the elements are going to be sigma over k cki akj is the ijth element, right? Because I have to take the first row multiply by first column, I'll get C11, A11, C21, A21, etc. That is CK1, C11, A11 when k is equal to 1. When k is equal to 2, I have C21, A21 like that for the first element. And so on. And for the second element, I'll have to take this row and multiply it by this column. So that will be C11, A12, C21, A22, etc. CN1, CN2. And this we know is equal to 1 upon determinant A into determinant A into the base delta ij. So this is equal to delta ij. Okay, so A inverse is equal to A the way I have defined it. Okay, any questions? Any questions?
Sir, how delta
Hello?
came?
So what is this quantity? This is determinant A times delta ij, isn't it? I have already
Yes, sir.
shown this. Okay, so determinant A, and so I have delta ij. Delta ij is a matrix, which is I goes from 1 to n, and j goes from 1 to n. Okay, fine. So let me continue. So now, what is A inverse B? A inverse B is equal to 1 upon determinant of A times C11, C21, C22 to C2n, etc., etc., CN1, CN2 to CNN multiplied by B1, B2, etc., Bn. So this is equal to what? 1 upon determinant A to C11 plus C1 B2 plus etc. CN1 Bn. Okay, and then the second row will be C12 B1 plus C2 B2 etc. C2n Bn etc. CN1 B1 plus CN2 B2 plus CNN Bn. Okay, this is equal to 1 upon determinant W, etc., determinant A. You follow? Okay.
Sir, how
So
did you
I
sir,
can
how
write.
did you multiply a matrix by a determinant?
No. I am multiplying. I am taking the determinant of the inverse is what I'm multiplying. I'm not multiplying the determinant. See, C is the C. So this is a transpose of the coefficient matrix. I'm not multiplying determinants. Yeah, you are right. I put the wrong symbol. Okay, because the A inverse is a matrix, and A inverse matrix is one determinant times the transpose of the coefficient matrix. Okay, this is the transpose of the coefficient matrix.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So here also I should have been more careful with using the symbols. Okay, you follow. One second, I'll be with you. Okay, so I've shown you the following. That is, I have done the following things. I have defined an inverse matrix. Show Kramer is same as multiplying the column vector B by the inverse matrix. That's I have Ax equal to B. So all it is equal to A inverse B. So if I calculate the inverse of the matrix, then I know the solution. Okay, so it appears to be a bit of a difficult thing, because if you want to calculate all the cofactors and all that, it's going to be a really difficult thing. But in the determinants, you never ever do the calculations using expansion by cofactors, but instead you always manipulate the rows and the columns such that you get either a lower triangle 0 or upper triangle 0. Okay, so that you can just take the product of the diagonal elements as the determinant. Okay, so this is how I got. Now the point is the following. That is, if the if determinant A is equal to 0, no solution exists. Okay, so that means for the inverse to exist, determinant A should be non-zero, or the matrix A should be non-singular. Okay, let us see when you have a very large system of equations. Many equations to solve simultaneously, then Kramer's rule is no use. For example, let us assume that you have a 100 equations and 100 unknowns. This is a very small problem. Green's functions in quantum chemistry or physics, then you'll have to solve millions of equations. Okay, so this is actually a small problem. Then inverting a 100 by 100 matrix by calculating what is a no, because the time taken is enormous. Like I said, 100 to the power n, the 100 equations means you'll have 100 factorial terms. And if you have to calculate 100 factorial terms, then if you use Stirling approximation, you know that it's roughly 100 to the power 100, or e to the power 100 is the number of equations that you have got to deal with. And that is going to be extremely large, exponentially large, so you cannot solve it. So how do you do these solutions of equations? There is a very simple iterative scheme. We can solve numerically by iterative scheme. So I'll just illustrate with a simple problem. So let me take the following. Take two equations, 3x plus y is equal to 10, and x plus is equal to 3 plus 6, 9. Okay, so let me take these two equations. Okay, the usual way you are going to solve this equation is by multiplying by 3 the second equation and subtracting it from the first equation, so that you get you get some equation for y alone, and you can solve it. It's the equation in one variable which can be solved. Okay, so but we are not going to do that. Instead, what we will say is that we will say first approximation solution is x0 and y0, and we'll ignore the off diagonal contribution, which is this part. So we will ignore this, and if we ignore this, sorry, 1 second, let's say so we will ignore 6. That my first approximation is going to be the following, right? I'll get the approximation x naught equal to 10 by 3 and y naught is equal to 9 by 6. Okay, so next what I will do is plug the value of y naught in equation 1 and get x1. So what will you do? We will do the following. I'll say 3x1 is equal to 10 minus y naught is equal to 10 minus 9 by 6. So how much is 9? So it's x1 is equal to 17 by 6. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll use the value of x1 and plug it into second equation. Plug x1 in equation 2. So when I plug that one in equation 2, damn thing is not moving fast. Okay, so I'll have 9 minus 17 by 6. 6 by 1 is equal to 9. 17 by 6. Is that correct?
Sir, how did you get
Second
17
equation.
by 2? 60 minus 9 divided by 51 by 6.
17 by 6.
19 by 17 by 10. This will be 9 by 6. Sorry. Oh, this is 17 by 2 is correct because 10 minus 9 by 6 is how much? How much is 10 minus 9 by 6?
51.
17 by
10 minus 1.5, right?
Yeah.
How much is 1.5? 10 minus 1.5. 10 minus 1.5.
8 and a
You
half.
people can't do arithmetic in your mind.
8 and a half, sir.
8.5. What is 10 minus 1.5 is how much?
8 and a half.
8 and a, correct. 8.5 is 17 by 2.
Yes, sir.
So x1 is 17 by 6. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So how much is 9 minus 17 by 6?
37 by 6.
50 over 4 minus 17 by 6. That's equal to 37. Okay. Or y1 is equal to 37 by 36. Right?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. Now let us plug this one into equation 1 and try to get x2. So I'll say 3x2 is equal to 10 minus y2, 10 minus 37 by 36. Okay. 10 minus 37 by 36. How much is it? Is it correct? 360 minus 37 is 323, right?
Yes, sir.
Or
Yes.
x2 is equal to 323 by 108. Do you see that?
Yes.
And now let me see what is y2. So I have the second equation, 6y2 I can say is equal to 9 minus x2, right? Okay, so that is equal to 9 minus 323 by 108. Okay, so 972 minus 323 by 108, and this is equal to how much? 972 minus 323, 649 by 108, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Or what is y2 equal to? You must learn to do arithmetic a little bit faster. 642 by 649 by 648.
Yes, sir.
Right? So now what is the exact solution? Is x is equal to 3, y is equal to 1. And after 2 iterations we have x2 is equal to 37 by 36. Rather 108 by how much was it? Not 37 by 36. This is 323 by 108, right? And y was equal to by 3. How much is roughly 649 by 648? How much is 649 by 648 roughly?
1.
1. Something.
How much is 323 by 108?
3.
3.
3. So now you see that I have got the solution within 2 iterations, which is pretty close. Okay. So this iteration is called Gauss-Jordan technique. So let me write a general equation. Just a minute. Gauss-Jordan. Yeah, I think Gauss-Jordan. So in this, you take xi0 is equal to vi divided by aii. Okay. Choose the ordering such that aii is large for all I. Okay. So if I were to interchange x and y, I would not get this easily. Okay. So for example, if I were to write this one in the form, the equations in this form, that is x plus 3y equal to 10. Okay. And this thing 6x plus y equal to 9, if I were to write, that is interchange x and y, I would not get a convergence which is very fast, because you want diagonal dominance, which means that the aii must be the largest. Okay, modulus of aii must be the largest in the ith equation. Only when aii is the largest in the ith equation, the approximation works pretty well. I cheated you by taking the aii, automatically the largest in the 2 equations, because a11 was 3 and a22 was 6. Okay, whereas b11 and a21 and a12 were 1. Okay, so that's how I got the convergence so fast. Okay, so you take xi0 equal to that, and then you say xi k at the kth iteration is equal to sigma over 1 L equal to 1 to k minus 1. Let me do it more carefully. Just 1 second. So I'll say bi minus, so this damn thing is not going. Okay, bi minus sigma over L is equal to 1 to k minus 1. Okay, AIL XL XL k minus 1 minus no, this is XLK. I'll explain to you what I'm saying. Yeah, this thing not erasing fast enough. Oh, XLK minus of L is equal to K plus 1 to N AIL XL K minus 1 divided by AIL. So what you have done is you have taken the ith equation. The ith equation is the following: AI1 the ith equation is AI1 x1 plus AI2 x2 plus AI xi plus etc. plus AIN xn equal to BI. This is the ith equation. Okay, so given that ith equation, I have already, if I am at the kth iteration, at the kth iteration, what I know is that all xi's up to k minus 1, okay, have been updated because you have already solved for all these up to k minus 1, okay, rather I minus 1, not k minus 1. My laptop has somehow become extremely slow. Really up.
Sir, and your voice was breaking throughout the lecture.
What was breaking?
Your voice, sir, we could not hear it clearly.
Throughout the lecture.
Yes, sir.
Was it throughout the lecture?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Throughout.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So
Hello. Hello.
So you mean to say that I need not have taught today?
No, sir, there is some internet problem, I think.
Only for you or for everybody? I don't know.
Sir, my roommate also has the same problem.
Is it a problem for every one of you?
Yes, sir.
So you have not heard anything that I have spoken so far?
Sir, we hear, but there is lot of time lag and there are pauses. And then the screen also stops.
Yeah, that is what I am also noticing, that the screen is slow. But you know, there is not much I can do about it.
Okay, sir. We can manage.
Okay, so this is the problem with the online classes. Okay, so what I have done is at the kth iteration, and when I come to the ith equation, all the unknowns until I minus 1 have been updated to kth iteration value, like I did here. You see, when I was trying to calculate x1, okay, I only had value which is y0. Okay. So, but on the other hand, when I came to y1, I had the value of x1. Okay, because x1 is what I have substituted here. So, whenever I am looking at variables to the left of the equation, index corresponding to the left of the equation, they are all upgraded. Okay, for example, you know, x1 comes to the left of y1. So that was already updated when I came to y1. Okay. So all these are updated. Okay. That is why I have AI1, x1k, AI2, x2k, etc. AI, xik, but xik I have to update. But after that, I plus 1 to in, they are all of the previous iteration. Okay. So that was xi plus 1 of k minus 1, xi plus 2 k minus 1, and xn k minus 1. So now what I have done is I have solved for xik from here. So from here I have gone to xik, and when I go to xik, I see that this is the equation that I get. So this is the general equation for the Gauss-Jordan technique, iterative technique. It's not Gauss-Jordan. I think it is Gauss-Jacobi or Gauss-Jordan. I'm getting confused, but this is one of the iterative techniques that is used for solving simultaneous equations. Okay, so the important thing is that when you have n unknowns and n equations, and when n is very large, you cannot go by the Cramer's rule. You have to use other kinds of numerical techniques, and the numerical techniques have to be iterative. And one of the iterative techniques that I gave you was the Gauss-Jordan technique, where you start with an approximate solution xi0, which is given by bi by aii, and then you keep on updating the xi's one after the other by going through equations 1 to n, and at the end of it you go back to equation 1, so on and so forth. So this is an iterative procedure by which you actually repeat these processes until you obtain the desired convergence. Okay, so this is how you do the iterative solution. But they're much superior to what I have shown you. But I'll give you an example of enough technique for solving the inhomogeneous system. Okay, so I think for today I will stop here, and in the next lecture I will start with the equations homogeneous, as well as the number of equations is not equal to number of nodes, and we have both a homogeneous and an inhomogeneous system. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I think I will stop sharing the window, sharing the note. Stop sharing. So I'm really sorry that, you know, I don't know whether the connection is bad at my end or at your end, but nonetheless, you know, it looks like today's lecture has not been very profitable, but probably if you have a recording of that, which is somewhat better, you can look at the YouTube video and then get some idea about what I've been talking about. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So it looks like not many people are here. I see lots of absences. But like I said, it is not compulsory to attend lectures as long as you submit assignments and pass exams. Okay. Okay, then bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye, sir.